Welcome to the CFG Game Cast, episode number 174, a weekly podcast created by gamers and streamers alike to discuss the latest gaming topics from the previous week. We stream a new episode on every Sunday and release it on podcast services like Apple, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Podbean, and so much more. So show us some love, give us a follow, a like, a comment, what have you on any podcast services out there, or go to our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, to not miss an episode. I am Mr. CFG Games himself, Davies Green, and with me today is my awesome co-host. I got Lex in the second seat. What is going on, my cyborg?
Hey, I took the week off. I didn't game until last night, which we'll talk about a little bit later, what I was playing and how much I enjoyed it. But I took the week off. It was my birthday week. And also my dad's death anniversary, I guess. So I didn't know how I would feel, and I was like, I'm not gonna push myself because I don't know, emotions sneak up on you. So I took the week off. I scheduled our podcast meeting on my birthday. I was like, if I'm crying, I have to stop and be professional.
I felt like a dick about that. I was like, really?
Yeah, no, I knew what I was doing when I did it. Was I happy the day of? Not necessarily in that moment, but everyone showed up at my house like right as we were doing the meeting. I was like, dang it. Okay. And people are also showing up, and I was definitely like in my PJs from the night before. I'd been crying. I was like, this is a weird day. But I ended up, after our meeting, getting into another meeting and then designing my whole website. So I ended up working my entire birthday, and I kept myself pretty occupied. So it ended up working out, and I got some pretty cool gifts from my partner in crime, in Dust. He got me some cute new shoes that are very me. There's a pair of ballet flats that say spooky when you put your feet together. And then he got me some Beetlejuice, like I don't know how to explain them. They're not traditional like high heels. They're platforms, I guess would be the best way. They're really cool. They're really cool. Yeah. And then he got me the game we're going to talk about. So, which I've been waiting on for a while. So yeah, it all worked out. And I had a good week. I've been slowly eating through my ice cream cake, and it's pretty delicious. It's a little late night treat.
It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, though. It's kind of funny. Like, I mean, it's just like, despite, I know how hard it was, how hard it is to celebrate with your birthday, given the circumstances with your dad and everything. But like, overall, it's kind of like during that birthday week, once you hit 30, it's kind of like, it's kind of mute, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree. And people are like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm like, I didn't want to celebrate it because I didn't know how I just didn't know. I definitely think after 30, birthdays are kind of like, meh, whatever. It's just the whole surrounding of like my dad's whole death was essentially my birthday. So and it all tied in, and which sucks. So like I said, I didn't know how I'd feel, but I've been pretty okay.
But it's a good thing that you're kind of in a better, I mean, it's still awesome that you're in a better place, though. So, I mean,
yeah.
I would assume, that's what I'm assuming. You are in a better place, which I would.
Yeah, I definitely have some like PTSD with like reliving kicking my dad's door in. But other than that, I've been kind of okay. But yeah, I definitely have some sleepless nights, but diamond painting has very much gotten me through a lot of like my grief, like sleepless nights. So thanks to crafting, because I don't know what I would do. So it's very much helped in that realm for sure.
Oh, that's good. Well, well, happy birthday. I know I've said it before, but happy birthday.
You're welcome. Yeah. You know whose birthday it wasn't?
Whose?
Yours. How was your week, buddy? I turned it around on you.
Do you know what's actually funny? I was not expecting that. You really I was not. I was like, what? It's like I was gonna say. It's like, is Smitty here? Do I even am I wrong? Smitty did come here. Oh, you got me though.
Surprise.
Yeah. I'm doing good. I've been like, well, it's not even a secret. I'm always busy, but like
Yeah.
I've just been moseying on trying to get some stuff going, got some stuff in the works that I really am going to be happy to share with everyone about here very soon, which is going to
Mhm.
be really cool. Been playing, it's actually kind of funny. So I've been kind of going a little bit weird on my schedule because for some
Mm.
reason I haven't been able to sleep real well for this last week. Uh,
Me neither, and, like, a bunch of other people I've talked to, I think it's the weather shift,
it might
and,
be. I
like,
don't
all of
know.
our bodies are just like, "It's summer,
Yeah.
the sun's up, get up," and you're like, "I can't.
It irritates me
I
either
can't fall
well
asleep," and then I wake up
yeah.
an hour later, I'm like, "No."
Well, my issue is like I go to, so I work late normally, like in
Yeah.
my regular job I work late. I work till like 10 or 11, 10:30 at night, and then like and sometimes, and since I work from home, it's like I don't have a rewound time, so you kind of
Mhm.
a wind down time. So
Right,
like it's either turn off the computer or go straight to bed, and then try
right.
to go to bed. And so you're in bed, then you're just staying up because you're still wired.
Mhm.
So when you finally go to bed, then you just go to bed for like maybe, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours. Then you wake up in the middle of the night, like around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. You're trying to get back, and it's
Yep.
just so frustrating to be like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I've been kind of so I decided, you know what, if I'm up, I might as well be productive or try to do something to force myself to back asleep. So I decided to start playing another RPG or finishing up another RPG that was in my old
Oh.
lit that was on my list. And yeah,
Mhm.
so I'm playing in the weird times of night sometimes. And yeah, so like I play it like at like, it's like, just can't go to sleep. Let me go. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Let me pop in Trails of Cold Steel again. So that's
Right?
what I was, yeah. So that's what I was doing, and then now I'm at a point where I'm near the end of that game already. It's only been a
Oh,
week.
nice.
Yeah, and yeah. So I was just like, man, I need to get back on my regular schedule again. So yeah, so I've been doing that for like 3 or 4 days, and also like went to some places that were closing down to
Oh, no.
get some good thrifting,
Oh,
good deals and stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, but nothing too extraordinary. I mean, I'm an old man, so you got to take
I
every
feel
win
it.
that you possibly can. So yeah.
I get it.
But yeah, so yeah, but anyways, but I know everyone doesn't want to. I know anyone doesn't want to be talking about my awesome deals I got at these thrift shops. So let's go to the normal rigmarole that we like to do each and every
Nice.
week. So each of us chooses a topic of discussion through the previous week in the world of gaming. The topic would or could be a game itself or something that happened in the gaming industry, and we don't want to talk about it amongst ourselves. We want you, the listeners and viewers on Twitch, on YouTube, on Kick, on Facebook, and more, to be a part of the conversation. So if there's something that you're wanting to add on whatever we're talking about, by all means, just type it inside the chat. We would love to discuss it with everyone here, and we make it a bigger and open conversation. So let's get this party started. So I will go first, and I wanted to talk about something on a game that I like that I was kind of wondering about because so there's several games that came out that's like basically console locked, like on PS2 and PS3 and
Yeah.
things like that. So I'm looking. So most people are kind of afraid, not afraid, but most people have been wanting to say, "Hey, we want this game. We want you to. We want it really badly. Let's. Like, so what are you gonna do to? What are you gonna do to get it?" And everyone was like, "Okay, we'll try our best to get it." So out of all of the companies that are willing to do this, one company is saying, "You know what? We are going to do it. Just give us some time." And I just lost my article on it, so I'm kind of like
No
milking it
worries.
off a little bit.
It
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. One article, like one company said, like, "Hey, we're going to we're going it's coming. We're going to do it." But you'd be surprised. It is Konami of all of them. Konami is the one that's is planning on bringing some games back, like there's a
Interesting.
so right now currently there's a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake rumor.
Right.
This rumor was happening, this rumor was made started around maybe back in March, but then literally 2 weeks ago there was a confirmation that there was saying that Konami was in talks with Sony for exclusivity for Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, as well as 3 other games like Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, and something else. Can't remember I can't remember the third one.
Interesting.
Let me see what I got. Hold on. Now I gotta pay attention.
I have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Do you? No, it's okay. I liked the Metal Gear Solid series. I played through it. I think I've played through it twice.
You never.
Don't ask me what the storyline though is, because I don't really remember.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a convoluted, it's a weird storyline. So I mean, it's like
pretty convoluted. Yeah.
Okay. So so there we go. I found it again. So Sony has struck a deal with I got this information from WCC Tech or WCCF Tech that they struck an exclusivity deal with Konami for Metal Gear Solid 3, Silent Hill, and possibly Castlevania. So
wait, the original Silent Hill?
Well, see, I don't know if it's a remake. Well, they did announce that they were going to make a remake of Silent Hill 2. So
but I want one.
Silent Hill 2 was the better one.
I know, but I want to play the first one.
You've never played? You've never played the first one, or
I've never gotten the opportunity to play the first one.
Oh, okay.
I've tried to find like sneaky ways to play it, but it's never worked.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, the first one was only on the PlayStation 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like, okay, so right now, so what this is basically coming to say that we may be seeing this here in the very, very near future of to see Snake Eater on a PS5 generation console with new PS5 generation graphics. If they see, I'm just worried about this because I'm kind of on the fence of being really hyped about it, because if it was any other developer, I would kind of understand more about it, but Konami shut down their gaming division a long time ago. Essentially, well, their console gaming division at least, but they've been doing mobile gaming and stuff like that for a good bit. Now it feels like Konami's is kind of dipping their toes back into it slowly with these weird acquisitions, and I feel like, are they really going to put money in on a full-fledged remake, or is this just going to be like a remaster? Because if it like and the second thing I'm kind of wondering too, is that, see, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater had really good graphics even for its time. Because even the remasters that came out on the PS3 or PS4, I believe, were very good.
They're clean.
They need to have a remake of. I don't know if there's maybe some red tape because Nintendo did it, but if they can do a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid, from it, but I mean, that's just me being greedy, but
I feel it.
Yeah. But I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, okay, so Konami says that they've basically gone in talks and they're setting it up for exclusivity rights to PlayStation. The real question is this going to be timed rights, or if this is going to be something that's going to be exclusive permanently on the PS5? So I just wanted to get your opinion on this. Like, what do you think about it?
Well, I know that there's a lot of people like myself who do enjoy older games and would hope that I don't even need a remake necessarily, but like a remaster so I can play said game. Like I don't need a remake of Silent Hill 1. I just want the ability to play it, and a remaster would be perfect for that. So I guess, I have several thoughts. So I don't know if a remake would be beneficial for them in the long run to get back into the gaming game necessarily. Like, I know like their whole division was shut down. So for them to then open it back up, it makes me wonder, are they going to put it all on the line and do a remake? Or is it just going to be remasters? Because I feel like the safe bet would be for them to just do remasters. Because again, like Snake Eater looked great. I played it on the PlayStation 4, and it looked fantastic. It didn't feel like I was playing a game from the 90s. It didn't feel old. it just feels like a different style, and that's what I like about Konami. So I'm interested as far as where that goes. Again, if it's remasters or if it's remakes, because those are two very separate things. Remasters are a lot easier than remakes because they have to then make it to what we have now as far as technology, and we've all been disappointed as of late with a lot of the games that have been coming out. So I don't wanna get all my eggs in one basket and get really excited and then I get destroyed. Um, but yeah, I'm curious, and like you said, is it timed? So, is it just gonna be on the PlayStation for 6 months and then we can get it on PC? Or is it just exclusive to Sony? And
I don't really
you
care
said it
about this.
doesn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I don't like. I mean, time exclusives. It sucks to have, but at the same time, I like you. The reality of it is that I don't think that it's going to. I think time exclusives it would hurt a console rather than on a PC, because it seems
Yeah.
like more things nowadays are going naturally going to go to PC anyways. That I think it's
Yep.
just going to be like, oh, you can, if you want to play it on console, you can play it first on console first here.
Right.
But overall though, you know, like, Konami's one of those brands that even though they've been out of the game for a long period of time, they have money. I mean, Konami is
Oh, yeah.
huge. So I think
Mhm.
that overall, that like, if they want to make a remake of it, then I think they don't, but they don't want to make a new game. That's fine with me, because like, dude,
Same.
their library is better. They have a huge library of different series of things. I mean, Castlevania,
Mhm.
Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill. If Silent Hill comes back with a remake, can you imagine making like the good Silent Hills as a remake? Because I mean,
Dang.
Silent Hill 1 is a game that came out back in like the PlayStation 1 era. It's
Yeah,
definitely in due time for a remake, for people to care about it. Because if they just
for
released it,
sure.
yeah, especially if you're trying to check for new generations of people that's wanting to try out a genre, like a horror genre, that scared the hell
Yeah.
out of me when I was growing up,
Mhm.
then yeah, they should do it. But I guess it's just like, I just want to know how much are they, how the thing that scares me is how serious is Konami, if they are bringing something like this back, if they're wanting to get their feet in the water in the
Right.
gaming genre again, because they burned that bridge pretty badly back when they were leaving. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's where my thoughts lie too, and I think, and you said Silent Hill is definitely on the list. If I think if they're gonna do, regardless if it's a remake or a remaster, if they're doing Silent Hill 1, though, please do a like, do a remake,
Hmm.
don't do a
Hmm.
remaster.
Hmm.
It would be smart for them to do a remake, because then they can come out with Silent Hill 2 and they can have that on their books as this is coming out, and we have a set plan
Hmm.
and to get people back into this series, you know? I think if they just do, again, I would be satisfied with either, but please make it a remake. Please
Yeah.
make it a
But a
remake.
remaster, you see, the thing, like, remasters are annoying because, like, like, I might get knocked for this, but I
Mhm.
seriously think this, but I truly have always thought this, and then but I kind of don't care what people think about it. But this is the way I look at it. I
Here's my
think,
opinion, but I don't care.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying, it's like, I think that it's very that the nostalgia, like, genre, like backwards compatibility, all that stuff,
Mhm.
very very overrated.
I concur.
Yeah, because like, I think that overall, like, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that I can backwards compatible my PS5 to my PS4, or
Mhm.
and stuff like, and then maybe, but let's be honest, I am not, like, maybe it's definitely just me, but I am not one of the person that buys a $500 console and then say, I want to play a PlayStation 1 game, or I want to play a
Right.
PlayStation 2 game, or
I
and
wanna play a
whatnot.
20-year-old
So
game when
yeah,
I
I don't want to
have
play
a
a
brand new
20-year-old game.
system.
What I'm more irritated about, because like a lot of people were irritated about, is that we're on the Gen 5 of a different kind of series of different kinds of computer of consoles, and yet we have loads of remasters and stuff like that, and I think that it's not showing the credit of how powerful your system is when you're always looking through the past that way.
Right. No, I agree.
Yes, yeah. So I think that overall, I think what they
Unless
should
it's Silent
do,
Hill.
Unless it's Silent Hill. Yeah, I just think that what they should do, like if they're not planning on making any new, if they're not planning on making any new IPs, but then they're
Yeah.
wanting to bring back some other ones and they're wanting to port them to the newer gen consoles,
That's
but yet they want to put a little bit of money on the ones they know they're going to get money from.
right.
Then do the remaster or do the remake. I mean, like
Right.
I'm all game for that.
Same.
For the most part, you know. So
Same. I would like to play Castlevania again. I haven't played it in a very long time.
yeah, which version of Castlevania did you play?
I have no clue. It was at my friend's house. I would go
Like,
to her house. I wasn't allowed to have the scary games. So, and that was considered scary. So, no, my friend Julia in middle school. So we were in 7th, 8th grade
mhm.
range, and she had it because she had a bunch of different systems. She had a Nintendo, she had a Sega Genesis. I also had a Sega Genesis. But I wasn't allowed to play Mortal Kombat because it was again, quote unquote, scary. But she had a GameCube. She had a bunch of different systems, and
Mhm.
so I played it at her house, but it wasn't on any of the ones I just listed. I
Well,
don't
it's
know.
probably
It's
gonna.
been a long
Well,
time.
like since you're younger than me, I'm assuming it's gonna be like a Metrovania like game, side scroller, a side scroller one. But because like
Oh
they
yeah,
they
no, it
have
was
the
very
new
much a
3D
side
ones.
scroller.
Yeah, so no, that's cool. Well, yeah, I love I love freaking
I love side
Castlevania.
scrollers.
If they keep on doing that, then by all means, but they don't have the guy who created it
Yeah.
from it. So Ida, yeah, they all have Ida. So if they, but I am interested to seeing if they do it. It's just like they just can't f it up. That's
Mhm.
all I'm just saying. It's like it'd be great to see like Snake Eater is a good game, especially when you have the characters like the end. One of my favorite people to fight was the end.
Yeah,
You
the
said
end is
you played Snake Eater, or have you played Metal Gear Solid 3? I wasn't sure
I
if you
have
have or
played
not.
Metal Gear Solid, yeah.
Oh, you did. Yeah. So
I
the
played all
one,
of them.
yeah, the sniper that uses photosynthesis,
Mhm.
and he can sit and plant there and everything, and then try to, and you were in his own special stage. I just loved fighting that
Mhm.
guy. But it
Yeah.
was fun. Or you could cheat and
I
just push the time all the way forward.
yes, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yep.
loved it. So yeah, definitely gonna bring
Ah,
it. I'm looking forward to it. Let's see. I just want to see what they're if we get it, if we're gonna get a good version of it, and pray it doesn't, they don't f it up. So we'll see.
I concur.
What about you, Lex? What is your topic today?
Well, we talked about games that you're interested in possibly coming out. Let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about one that is out and that I played this weekend. Last night, I got into a game called Bramble the Mountain King. If
Mm-hmm.
you haven't heard of it, I'm not surprised. It got really popular on TikTok. I had Day and Night and one of my other moderators, Nightmare, send it to me. And it was a game company reviewing
We were talking about this
the
the other day,
demo
actually.
of it.
Like
Yeah. And it's so good. I I hate that it's so good because it's so I love dark topics, and when we get into folklore, which is what this game is based off of, it's based off of Nordic folklore. Folklore is very dark and it's a lot of children dying and the because back in the day, birthing children was very dangerous. It still is, but a lot of folklore is rooted in that fear, right? Or the fear that our children are going to be taken in the night, or if you step in a fairy ring you can be transported to another world, right? And the cute little fuzzy things that you think are out there are really these nefarious creatures. And so Bramble takes that and basically says, oh, we can one up that. um i I'm not going to try to give it away. So I definitely thought the frog was going to kill me. I was like, he's nope, he's not my friend. He ended up being my friend. There are parts of this that are just so beautiful that I teared up. I was like, I hope my dad is in a place like this. This is gorgeous. The music, the swelling, the artistry of it. Like it's very simplistic in like the character design, but the way they set up the planes that you move in is so stunning, and it's so gorgeous, and it's so neat. It's I I guess my point is I want more And I hope this developer makes more. Please, 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 because there are some really crazy Italian folklore that not a lot of people know about that are very in depth. This game is one of those, and pardon my French, where you basically have to say "fuck them kids" because you are murderlating, uh, accidentally murderlating children left and right, whether they are human or not. Um, and so you it's just it's very interesting, and people in chat were just like flabbergasted. They're like, "Oh, they did that." I'm like, "Oh, they did that." And I've seen videos of other streamers playing this and like crying when some of these events happen because of how in depth they are, and I can understand that. For me, it's an uncomfortable laugh on my end. um it was the scenery that got me choked up, but I want more games like this. I know they are deep and they are very dark rooted in the folklore, and I want companies who aren't scared to put this content out in fear of any backlash, because again, these are very dark topics, but I like exploring those, and I'm an adult now and I like exploring those topics because those are stories that I've heard from when I was a child, right? About, the Pied Piper. There is a version in Nordic lore that you meet in the game about the Pied Piper who led children. And it's not a happy story, right? So I like those sequences, and you do get to read books in the game as if you are a child being read by your mother who's narrating these events for you and giving you a glimpse as to why you just experienced what you experienced and how that pertains to the game. It's very in depth. It was very well done. I'm
Mhm.
going to be looking at this developer very
Who's the
far into the
developer?
future. The developer is I just had it. um
Electronic
Where'd it
Arts.
go? Oh, Dim Light. I'm sorry, Dim Frost. Dim Frost is the developer. They only have this and another game called A Writer and His Daughter, which
Mhm.
was published in 2017, but that game is no longer available. I'm not quite sure why, but this is their first really big game.
Wait,
And
you
I'll
say a
be
writer and
honest,
his daughter?
uh-huh,
That was their first game? Oh, I know.
uh-huh.
I know the developer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dim
that,
Frost.
that's
So
like a
I've heard
Swedish
of that game.
developer.
I haven't played it. I heard that game's also very good. Um, I really hope that I hope that this is an eye opener to other developers too. Like, this is how you do folklore games that have these really dark topics, and they did it. Oh, they just did it so well. I'm not even through the game and I can't stop thinking about it. It's just
So
so beautifully
wait,
done.
I do have a question
Yeah,
though.
sure.
So are you saying that, like, I mean, what isn't captivating you to play? Is it just the story or because I mean, clearly it seems like the story is the thing that is what like what's the best thing that you're liking about this game that you're connecting to for you to like it so much?
So we all got bedtime stories as kids, right? And so it starts out, you're basically in your bedroom. You go to get in bed with your little sister or your older sister who's supposed to be sleeping next to you, and she's gone. She's gone. You can see that she's climbed out the window. She's used some like sheets to get out the window, and she is gone. So now your mission is to go find her, right? Which
Okay.
from the get-go, I was like, this is fucking stupid. Don't do it. Don't do it. But of course I did it. Um, I think it's that for me, it's like living out those stories that I got to experience being told from my dad. Because my
Mhm.
dad didn't tell me the cute little, like, here's the Little Mermaid story. No, I got the Once on This Island version, which is one of the original versions of the Little Mermaid, so to speak. And there is no happy ending.
So
People die at the end.
are you liking the fact that it's real with you? They're not sugarcoating
It's
it.
very, no, they are not sugarcoating anything. Like,
I mean,
I
I know.
mean, it is,
I'm saying that you yourself, like you're liking it
yeah.
because it doesn't sugarcoat.
It's correct. It's very
Okay.
real. It's very it immerses you almost immediately. The second you leave that room, there's no more hesitation to go forward in the game. There a lot of times I worry too when I'm playing games, like, did I miss something? I'm checking with chat to see if they saw
Mhm.
something that like maybe I passed and I missed. I don't feel any hesitation with this game. I'm like, I just want to keep pushing forward and see what terrifying thing is around the corner. It's very Little Nightmares, but actually scary. I'm so sorry, Little Nightmares. You guys aren't very scary.
Little
It's
Nightmares is
and it
more of a
kind of
shock
reminds
kind of
me.
thing.
Yeah, it also kind of reminds me of the game Inside. If you've never played Inside, it's very good. It feels like the creators of Inside created this with folklore. But it's very immersive. Like nothing feels like it was placed there and you're like, "Ugh, I got to read another book. Ugh, I have to do this." None of it feels like that. It's I want to do this. I want to know why this story is the way that it is. How did that pertain to the monster I just saw that I'm probably going to see again because I didn't beat him? Right? And it's just the way they've done it is done so beautifully. They don't sugarcoat a single thing. And like Ravage was in chat last night. He was like, I might need a drink after that because it was
Wow.
very intense. And I've seen other streamers playing this game like crying during a certain section where maybe your little gnome friends don't make it out. And and I get it, but also I kind of went into it with the I know what folklore is. I've never been sugar-coated folklore. It's terrifying. Nobody gets happy endings. Let's go. And that's what I was looking for, and that's what they delivered in a beautifully wrapped present. It just everything, and I hope other developers look at this as an example. This is how you do folklore. This is how you do horror. This is how you dip people's toes in, because when it's too terrifying, you're like, I might have to chill for a second and take a little break. It gives you that breath of fresh air. It's like, no, look at this surrounding and listen to this music and how gorgeous it is. And then all of a sudden your character starts going into this like mushroom trip kind of sequence. You're like, here we go again. And it's very down the rabbit hole, and it was just done so
Well, you're
good.
just like, yeah, just nonstop
I
on it. I'm
can't.
just
I
like,
can't.
I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, if when you're saying that it's like a grim fairy, I mean, it's essentially a grim fairy tale, so they're not
Mhm.
sugarcoating
Right. I would say
the folklore
less
itself,
sugar-coated than
but
grim.
yeah, but I would say the thing that's kind of getting me is at the level of I'm not like from what I'm seeing from because I have your playthrough going on going through here side to side. It's like I'm not seeing what is it that's
Davies,
making
your
it
email's up, goofball.
so creepy. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I would slide through. Oh man. Yeah, go a little past this section and you'll see the trolls. So you have this beautiful experience with your sister after you leave your bedroom. So this is where things start to take the creepy turn. Um Here's where things start to really take the oh, this isn't even grim fairy tale. This is I'm not making it home fairy tale. Um it it from here from this sequence on, it is terrifying. Um I don't even want to list the bosses names
Well,
because then it
don't
gives
list
it
the
away.
boss. But
But
okay, but yeah, because like okay, see now I'm seeing what a little bit of,
mhm,
like because this part seems more kind of like a little bit of like the little nightmare scenario because you're
correct.
with it. But I'm just like I guess I'm not seeing the I mean I definitely see the appeal. The don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, the appeal of it looks really good. But I'm just trying to kind of get like how scary is this thing compared to it's hard for me to gauge how scary this thing is by
Okay.
looking at the game through. It's like, is this
So,
world of horror, is this song of horror scary, or is this
yes.
like it is? Wow. I don't
Yes.
know because
So
that was
it's
pretty bad. That's
listed
pretty.
as an adventure indie game in the genre. They need to
Uh-huh.
add horror to it because it is very like they warn you, there is gore,
Mm-hmm.
essentially late term abortions, like we're going
Ooh.
heavy and you're like, "Oh, really?" And then you're like, "Oh, those are real late term abortions." Like, "Oh no." Um it doesn't stop. It
And they
looks
got
like a
away
plague
with
tale.
it too. That's pretty.
But it's folklore, like, these are stories that like, people have heard for generations about women who, had pregnancies because they were unwanted because of,
Mm-hmm.
SA, and then they take them to the Swamp Queen. Basically, they're drowning their children, and it's told in this fairy tale kind of way, but they're not sugarcoating it. They're like, "No, no, no, these women, Yeah, bad things happen to them. They don't want these babies. They're gonna drown them. You're welcome.
Well,
And you're like,
I'm just gonna
oh,
say this. I will say this
okay.
though. It's just like if this is it's so basic, but the core story is you are trying to rescue your sister
Yes,
or trying to find your sister.
essentially. You're
Man,
trying to
so
find her. She was taken by a troll, but where that leads is a whole Mhm.
labyrinth. Because I mean that's essentially what I'm kind
Uh-huh.
of
Kinda,
labyrinth.
yeah. So it is, and if you guys are like labyrinthine, no, the labyrinth with David Bowie. It's kind of like that, but she's older, so you're out on your own, terrified. And I have to say, the sound engineering for this game is phenomenal. If while you're platforming, you fall into the water, he cannot swim.
Hmm.
The sounds are very realistic. I think that's what also makes it terrifying. Like there's a whole section where like you hear a baby in distress, and I can't speak for all women, but a part of you hearing that for X amount of time, you're like, I need to get to that child to stop it from feeling this way, because it sounds very real, and it sounds like they got recordings of a child in distress, and you feel compelled to go and further investigate so that you can help, and it just keeps going down the rabbit hole, and you're like, wow, like this, everything from the sound of your character drowning to being chopped in half, all of
Man,
the sound engineering is beautifully done. It
this
sounds
makes this incredibly morbid.
it is, it's
I
very
don't
morbid,
know.
but I think that's why I like it. Oh, and
Yo,
yeah, Lex tearing up at seeing a beautiful field of deer with the music, like, everything they did was done with such good intention. I guess that's
okay.
my point.
So what Dust is saying, because I know what Dust was saying, looks like a plague's tale.
Mhm.
Then that okay, now I can kind of see, and I'm seeing the first. I don't know if it's the first boss you're fighting, but the boss that's on the screen.
Yes,
But
that's the first boss.
yeah, but yeah, that is kind of giving me a better visual of like what this is, like how this
Mhm.
is. So that's cool. And then yeah, she says, and he also says you would like a Plague's Tale, and I would have to agree, you would like a Plague's Tale,
I
I
think
think.
I would too.
Hmm.
I've seen bits and pieces of it. But yeah, I think
They just did an update on it too to make it
oh, did they?
to make it yeah to increase its performance, so it may be even
Oh,
better now. So, but
interesting.
yeah, sorry,
But yeah,
veered off.
I guess my point for showing you this terrifying, disturbing game is I think this is
Hmm.
a really good way to show, like, especially with indie developers, like, don't be afraid if you have an out of box idea. I think a lot of people are like, oh, folklore game. Okay, cool. Like, it'll be a little like Nightmare Before Christmas spooky. No, this is, I might have nightmares after spooky. And it's not even that the creatures themselves are like super terrifying. It's the way that they did the audio engineering with it, with the sound. Because a lot of horror games, and if you've played them, you know, you're playing and all of a sudden the sound starts swelling. You're like, what? What's happening? What's happening? And you're panicking and you're doing circles. Nothing is actually happening. Everything is done with intention, from the music to, and it, every time you think, I don't know if I can go deeper and darker. It's like, it's okay. Take a breath. Here's a cookie. Enjoy. Look at these deer. Look at the cute little froggies. And here we go. Back into it. And it knows when to pull you out and then suck you back in every time. And even during those parts, I didn't feel like, okay, I'm kind of over this. Like, oh, this is too deep and dark. I wanted more. The entire time I kept wanting more. And it's so good. It's just so
Okay.
good. Please,
Well,
I need more games like this.
I think we can unanimously agree that this game is better than Redfall. Because I think
Yes.
that's actually gonna remember what this game was. Because I remember this was like one person, I don't remember who last week
Yep.
was saying that it was like, oh yeah, like this game was it's worth it, and it was half the
It's
price.
$30.
Yeah,
It is
half the price.
$30.
It's ridiculous.
It I've looked, I didn't wanna look, but it says 4 to 5 hours of gameplay. If you die as much as I do, I don't think that's the case.
Wait, the game
Um,
is only 4 or 5 hours long.
that's what I've seen, but I've also seen someone else say they got 10 hours of play. But
Oh,
for $30, I'm getting 5 hours. I paid 70 for the village and got less than 10. So, and I think this one is done better than the village.
you played Resident Evil?
I did. That was my first Resident Evil game that I played by myself. I've helped friends who were playing, like I've gone over and hung out and they were playing. And they're like, "Oh, I have to go to the bathroom. You want to play?" I'm like, "Sure." But that was my first Resident Evil game. This
No,
to
I didn't know that.
me, not just the subject matter, but because these are, again, these are stories that, for generations have been told. And as we've gotten further along in those generations, they've been sugar coated, right? Oh, well, we can't say that. We can't do that anymore. This doesn't offend anyone. This doesn't, as far as offensive
I don't
nature
know about
goes,
that.
right?
I mean,
I
no, I know what you're saying. I definitely do.
like
But
it's not purposefully like coming
yeah,
out and saying,
maybe
"Oh,
it's
that
just like a,
offends you? Let me
yeah,
shove it in your face," right?
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like
yeah, exactly. But like,
this has roots.
I think if anything, any company that would be willing to be able to kind of hit that bar, I think an indie developer would be the one, because like that's
Oh
the one
no,
that,
for sure.
yeah, because they're the ones that don't have anything to lose, and 9 times out of 10, when there's usually something. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, to this extent of what you're saying on how this game is, it's something that you don't see a lot of nowadays at all, which is great. That they decided, okay, we're gonna
Right.
do it. But like, but I don't know if they're the ones feeling like they're limited, or that they have that they feel like they have to tell that story to allow their
Right.
game to come out. They could just release the game or whatever, because of how loose Steam's rules are
Mhm.
for indie development. But maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but
I
I don't know if
think
they, yeah, I'm sorry.
I think Ravage makes a good point too. He said, "I wouldn't say scary, but disturbing." I would agree to
Hmm.
that. So I think too, those go hand in hand when you play a game that is in the horror genre, right? Like
Okay.
you expect to be jump scared. This doesn't do it in the typical way that you would expect, and I think that that's what makes the disturbing then scary, because it knows when to get you, and it knows when you've kind of come into this like vulnerable state to suck you back into the next, because it's multiple like folklore stories, right? Like you're going through this whole sequence and you're meeting these different bosses, you're learning about them, how they pertain to the story, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And it's so good. And there's a lot of folklore that my dad told me, like rooted in like Italian heritage, where like this woman, basically the love of her life, is getting married and she gets stoned to death by coins. And like people don't really talk about those anymore. And I don't think people are
That's in
really
the game.
talking something similar,
Jesus.
because like we all kind
Okay.
like every a lot of folklore is like spread out, right? Like Russia has Baba Yaga, um and we have the boogeyman, right? But they're very much the same, and like they've kind of twisted and turned from one to the other. So like there's a version of the Pied Piper in a lot of folklore. I mean, I'm talking stretching from Nordic to Italian to China, Japan. Like there are all different versions of that, and there's one in the game, and it's done so good. It's done so good, because the Pied Piper, what we heard as kids in the US, that is not a happy story. It does not end well. They
Pied
all
Piper never.
drown.
Pied Piper never was ended well.
Well, a lot of people don't remember that though. They're like, "Oh yeah, the Pied Piper. I know who that is." And they're kind of like cheery about it. Like, "Yeah, the guy who drowned all those children?" Uh-huh. And they're like, "Wait, what?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"You didn't
well, yeah, I
you want to read
remember
the
it
full story?
vividly that it
You
was a
skipped the
lesson.
part."
Yeah, it was a lesson that was a lesson. I remember
Oh
that,
yeah.
like, when I was in school when they told us about it.
Do
But
not follow
yeah,
strange men with
yeah,
pipes.
yes, yeah, exactly. That's what you.
That's what you get.
That's what you get. It's
Fuck
like,
them
watch
kids.
out.
That's what you get, you know? But I think, we these stories were created and rooted to scare children to not, leave the house in the middle of the night while your parents are sleeping and
Mhm.
things like that. And so I think to my detriment, like stories were my way of escaping as a kid. And so I think for me, I really like I jumped into this like all like both feet ready to go. It's just so good. I think the way they did it was fantastic. I would love more like this. I don't know if I want it from another developer though. I really want to see what this developer comes out with, because
Mhm.
it was done so masterfully. I will say this is triple A game content
Mhm.
for $30.
Yep.
This is better than any game that, for me, that has come out that has been new. in the last year, besides like Demonologist, which is a totally different type of game, like Labyrinthine and Demonologist, like this one is up there as far as like
Hmm.
tier with me, as I will be playing this over and over again.
To be honest with you, I really can see it. I mean, it's been pretty much
It's
at a lull, so yeah.
it's good.
Uh,
It's good. But I'll stop.
oh, okay, sounds good. Oh, but I did have a question though. Like, I was
Yeah,
wondering,
sure.
well, not from this, but kind of segue out of it. But yeah,
Sure.
so we know it's good. We definitely know it's good. But so I was talking to you a little bit about it, but so I was looking just when I was looking for topics to talk about today.
Mhm.
I saw an article that actually that I never really thought about until I was like, would that be a good thing or would that be a bad thing?
Okay. I'm
Because
intrigued.
so it's called so it was on the Guardian.
Mhm.
And then they're saying AI voice synthesizing is being hailed as the future of video games,
Oh,
and
no.
but at what cost? So I don't think
Yeah.
we've ever really talked about because voice acting. Don't get me I mean, we are always in fear of computers or technology replacing human
They
jobs
took
and
our
stuff.
jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
situations, and but now we're at a level where computer like AI is now going to be able to do like things that you never would have thought that they would take over. Like I mean, like right now there's an active writer strike, and AI is a little bit of the reason of it, of like so they can secure their
Right.
positions or as writers, is a little bit of it, and amongst money and everything else. But then there's also, but I didn't even think about AI voice synthesizing because like there's something I don't know if you know about this, but you know James Earl Jones, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so James Earl Jones gave them the okay to synthesize his voice in AI. That and once he dies,
Mhm.
he gave him the permission to use his likeliness in an AI voice for any
Right.
future roles, like if they ever need to do Darth Vader or something in the future and
Correct.
stuff like that. So I'm just thinking to myself, my goodness, dude, like how much of a gray area are we going to be working with AI
Yeah.
voice synthesizing in gaming too?
Right. Because it's not just in our daily TV shows, movies, stuff like that. Because I know Bruce Willis, there was something that had come out, I want to say last year, or the year before, when
Mm-hmm.
AI was like really at the headline of the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Bruce Willis had sold his likeness
He
as
did.
well. Yes, but he also has is it Alzheimer's or dementia?
It's a
He's
form
having
of
a
dementia.
Yeah, he's having a lot of trouble, and I think
He can't
that's
talk
his
as much anymore. Yeah.
right. That's his way of kind of living on, and, there I have seen horrible ways this get used. I mean, there have been news stories of parents getting calls, and it sounds like their children have been kidnapped, etcetera. Um,
But I'm talking
and then
about
I
at a level of gaming
Right,
though.
right.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, that's how spot on it is, like, these parents thought it was their children. So, I think here's my questions. I worry about, like, 1, do we now have to get like a copyright on our own voices? Like I like that people are, like James Earl Jones, the people who are saying, "Yes, absolutely, use my likeness for AI, for voice, for CGI things like that." But then there's the okay, but who's going to step over that line, not get permission and use somebody's content to then make their own content? Right? So, that's where I worry, like, how far does that go?
That'd be
Where is the
very
line
interesting if
drawn in
you
the sand?
that would be interesting if you have to get a copyright for your own
Right.
voice. That would be very interesting. But then again, though, I mean, there's also is there actively? I mean, like when they were doing VR, the CG animation of Carrie Fisher in
Mhm.
Rogue One and stuff that they had to get they had to
For
get
permission.
approval for her
Right.
likeliness, her
Yeah,
likeness to do it.
I think for instance, like, if the person has passed, like, let's say you're a game developer and you really want like, Davis has passed, okay? Hypothetical. But you really want his voice to narrate this game, and there's enough content out there to do that, to put into because you have to use a certain amount of verbiage from the person themselves whether that be through their content, like on social media, or videos that you have personally, that the AI then takes and translates to what you want it to say, right? So it does sound like the person. If the person is passed, you have to get approval from their estate, right? But again, like, I wonder where that line is drawn, because what if, people are taking advantage of that, and that's where it starts and then it furthers? Because again, like, from someone who did do voice acting for a bit, like, I enjoyed it. I liked going in. It is a very long process sometimes, but I feel like the reward is there. But with AI, you can essentially just scroll social media, find a person's voice that you like, throw it into this program, and type out what you wanted to say, and bang, there you
I
go. You
think
don't need
I
the
think the
person, you don't have to
line.
pay for it.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing of to figure out what the line's going to be is until people start suing for certain situations,
Oh
because
yeah.
when there's going to be a situation where they'll be like, hey, we'd use this person's voice. I mean, I don't think it's going to get to a point where we have to copyright our voices. I don't because already
Yeah.
how the movie industry is normally on just mentioning certain things or certain people could be considered to be a likeness. Like Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan sued a grocery store chain because they put a picture of Michael Jordan inside it. And he didn't even say,
Really?
yeah, he didn't say a word, and he got $2 million from that chain. Yeah, because of
Wow.
just a photo. So I can only imagine
Yeah.
what's going to
Well,
happen if someone just like steals a person's voice likeness, because they know it's like, because by default people are going to be like, oh, this is so and so, or this sounds
right.
like so and
Well,
so.
and that's interesting too, because recently, I think this week, it was announced that Ed Sheeran won a lawsuit. He was
Yeah, that
being
was the
sued for a song that he came out with, and he
yeah.
was saying, yes, the same chord progression, but music is all as the same chord progressions, just done different ways, right? And he's not wrong. He is
He's
correct.
incredibly
And
right. Yeah.
and so if you think about it in that aspect, our voices are just voice boxes or vocal cords that vibrate and shake. Does that then turn into the same scenario at some point? Is where my curiosity lies,
You know what I
because
think?
everyone has vocal cords, right?
Yeah, but like, yeah, everyone's.
We all
Yeah,
we
you're
all do
right.
chord
You're right.
progressions. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean,
mm,
but then again, though,
I think there's a gray area.
let's say this. What's his name? The voice of Goofy, right? Is it Bill? Who's it? Bill Farmer, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah. So Bill Farmer passes away,
Mhm,
right? Then maybe let's give it some time. Let's say a decade, maybe 15 years after his passing, they decided to do one of the characters, like one of the characters that he did when he was alive. But
mhm,
then the rolling credits says the Goofy, but they don't give him the recognition of Goofy. So by
mhm,
default, you would automatically think that's AI.
mhm.
I would think that would be AI if they didn't give
Um,
any credit towards it. But
right.
yeah, I'm just saying in this
In
scenario, in
this
this specific
context. Yeah, yeah,
scenario,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So in that case, because you know that Bill Farmer is known to play that character as Goofy,
Mhm.
and stuff, they didn't give him the rolling credit as Goofy himself. Would that? I mean, but he is known to voice that character.
Right.
Would that be that would? I mean,
I think
I
that would
think
be
that
an
would be a
issue.
case. That would be a
Oh,
giant
absolutely.
issue, right?
Well, and especially like, because my first thought wouldn't be, oh, it's AI. My first thought would be, oh, it's another voice actor who can also do the voice of Goofy. But if they're not listed, then
Yeah.
yes, I do think it's AI. And then that person does deserve the credit, because they did do the work. They did create that character.
Mm-hmm.
That is their voice to an extent. And if someone else, for instance, I used to do voice doubles for somebody, but because I was a voice doubler, I did not get credit for that. So I would go in, I would listen to their character. I could obviously do their voice as the character. I would do my voice double. I would get paid
Mm-hmm.
double, because they're still getting credit, but they're sick or they're out of town or whatever the case is, right? I don't get credit for it. They still get legal credit for it, but it's in my contract that I'm aware of these facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, if Mr. Farmer passes away, there's nobody else on that bill at the end of the credits. I am going to assume it's AI. And I think that would be a case, especially
Yeah.
for someone of the estate for him could absolutely come out with a case and say, hey, that's my husband, my father, my brother, that's his voice.
Yeah.
And you guys used AI to then make this movie and you did not give him credit, nor are we getting any sort of royalty
Money
from
from
this.
that. Yeah.
We need to sit down and have a little chitty chat, you know?
And I feel that that's what, and that's why that, I mean, even in this case, I mean, maybe it's far fetched to even say that they didn't get any credit, like they didn't give a reference to the credit of that voice specifically, or it may be the set they give the credit to an AI firm itself that did it, which would probably be the more reality of it. But like, I feel that that's where this is going to go. Like if it does get to that point where, like, would it get to a point where it'll be like, oh hey, we weren't able to get like Troy Baker, so we got the AI version of Troy Baker, and we made him say whatever the heck it is, and this is like maybe years along the lines that Troy Baker either retired or whatever, doesn't do any of this anymore. Like, you know that they're gonna ask for
absolutely.
money. You know it's gonna ask for money regardless, because they'll be like, okay, yeah.
There have been times where I'm listening to something and I've had to stop and like think back through my little catalog of like things I did voiceovers on. I'm like, is that me? And I've had to go back and watch again and then roll the credits and see who played the character. And then I've gone down a rabbit hole of, wait, they sound like me. Hold on. And then I go and listen to them just normal talking and then doing their other roles. I'm like, oh snap, I got a double. You know? So I think, and I don't know if you remember this, when they made the Tigger movie, the man who did the voice of Tigger had just passed away. And so they had another person come in and voice Tigger. And I remember there was a little bit of an uproar about that. Like, people were upset that they went forward with it when this person who was doing the voice of Tigger, I believe he had signed on to do it and then suddenly passed. And they were, already pretty much done with the animation. They just needed the voices to come in. And that's usually how it goes. And there were some people that were upset about it. It's like, no, this is this man's legacy. Like, he knew he was going to be a part of this project. He wanted this to come forward. This was going to be a thing that he was going to be a part of. I don't think now that he is passed that has changed, right? I don't. And if that's the case, then a lot of our contracts are going to get changed here in the near future, whether you're a voice actor or what, because, you want to make sure that your likeness is not stolen out from under you. But I think now that might be an issue too, where you really have to look through your contract to say, hey, I played this character and you guys are going to go forward with this other thing. And I'm not a part of that, but I signed a contract for this one thing, but it says in tiny writing, you can use my likeness of my voice through AI to then create something else without me.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's gonna also come into play for sure with contracts.
I think it's a
picture of Michael Jordan. That's hysterical.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Well, I mean,
I need more money to gamble. I saw a picture of myself. Let's sue.
That's exactly what they did. Like, dude, well, Michael Jordan has been like money oriented since
for a long time.
Since day one, so, and I mean, and that makes him totally. I mean, not saying he doesn't. He does. He definitely deserves definitely deserves every penny of it. But still, it's like the guy was really really thinking about the future, ever since his beginning of his career. So,
it's smart, man.
So because he knew his name is a brand. I mean, so right. So just his likeness. So I loved. When I saw that article, I was like, that can't be real. And he's like, oh no, it's real. It is completely real.
I think too, for a lot of the voices that we know and love, for when I go to watch Animal Planet and I'm watching a documentary, I know the voice I expect to hear. If he passes away, I hope that, cross my fingers, that he does do hey, you're able to use my likeness. You just have to give royalties to my estate, whoever that may be, for the future. Because I think a lot of these voices that we grow up on, we take them for granted. And then when they're gone, you can hear the differences in them when another voice actor comes in,
especially when it's the preview guy, the movie, it's in a world, that kind of
right. And if it turned around, in a world,
there's
a plague and everybody dies, it would be very jarring. And I think, I think it's going to be written into contracts. I think people just need to be a little smarter. Like, if you're in that industry, just please be smart. Make sure you have your lawyers, your dot your I's, cross your T's, just make sure you're covering your butt. And I think we'll be okay. I think people always blow things further out of proportion than they're actually going to be. We're
I think it's
always
just
worried.
new technology. I think that's what
Yeah.
it is. Like, I just think that this is like new, unforeseen territory, because it's kind of
Yeah.
like when you see these weird transitions, like, between the VCR to DVD and then stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
for sure.
And
then the
it's like,
Blu-ray.
oh, this is just a fad. This is just a fad that don't let it go to you. I mean, yeah, it's. I think, well, personally for me, I'm still kind of on edge with AI in general, but like. But I because maybe it's because of the change, but but you're totally right. But I think it's just not a level where structure
Right.
is going to have to change with the time of
Right.
of it. So and that once we kind of catch on, once we accept that, then
Right.
it's not then we shouldn't feel threatened about AI specifically, like to do it, but rather to be like, okay, this is the lowdown. This is what it is. It isn't
Right.
this isn't
It's not
the
the
real
scary monster we made it
this
out
isn't
to be.
Elvis Presley that's actually talking to
Right.
you. This is a
Right.
computer that's voiced as Elvis. I mean,
Right.
just that kind of situation.
Well, and I mean, there's again, like, there's so many good applications, and I kind of talked about it before we started the podcast.
Mhm.
This week I was like one little big toe in the water, about
Mhm.
to put some of the voice notes that I have from my dad and throw it into AI, and have him wish me a happy birthday, because I
Mhm.
thought maybe I needed that closure. Like, there are really cool applications for things like that. And I do like AI, and I do like where we can
Mhm.
go with it. I think people just make monsters out of shadows before they really sit down and think about, okay, as long as I protect my butt here on this contract, like, we're good,
Yeah.
because people will be suing each other left and right if they're not,
Big time.
and
Big
I
time.
think, we obviously have issues with, AI for, like, streamers, and they're stealing their likeness and creating, like, OnlyFans and things like that. And now with the AI technology, they can throw their voice in, because we post our voice on social media. That's what we
Yeah.
do. And so, yes, there is an issue with that,
Before
100%.
we close this on this, I will say this, because Ravage did say something. He says, as an artist, AI can be useful. Can be a useful tool, if even for reference images for weird ass things, and it
I
is.
agree.
But I think, but like, I guess the problem is how threatening. I mean, how strong AI, how powerful AI really is.
Mhm.
Because do you remember the artist, the author that decided to write a book, but didn't hire an artist to
Mhm.
do the art? So instead, he used AI to do the art of his book. Do you know how much flack? And you know what's weird? The guy released it. He didn't think it was a big deal, but it was a
Right.
big deal because of the artist community was like
They were upset about it.
were upset about it, and because of it, it was like they ridiculed him about it, and I
But
was like,
technically, the
that's
way
kind
I
of
feel
weird.
about that scenario is, like, if, like, okay, you have Photoshop and I don't, and we
Mm-hmm.
both draw a picture with the same keywords, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yours is probably going to look better than mine. And I think AI is just a tool to further things, and I think people need to stop thinking of it as a scary monster in the dark. It's just a shadow. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a very useful tool. Like, I've seen the stuff that Ravage has done with the AI, and it's phenomenal. And I think it can just further the artist community in that aspect by giving them ideas that maybe they wouldn't have had otherwise. You know what I
But this is
mean?
also, yeah, but overall, art is completely subjective, and
Oh,
whatever
it
you find
always
looking
is.
over. But at the same time, though, this is exactly the same kind of situation that happened with Hogwarts Legacy. Like, just it's just that people as a group is classifying you're a bad person because you're doing this. You're like
Mhm.
you're doing it in this way, and I think that's how they look at AI in certain aspects, is because
Yeah.
they feel threatened about it losing, taking replacing them over what they
Right.
naturally do, which I don't think is ever going to be the case about art
I don't
or
think so either.
writing and stuff like that, because like, yeah, so that's where that's where it comes. And then I was like thinking about an opposite thing. Like, look at the good side of this, like the way I look at it with AI for even for gaming. If a person
Mhm.
dies halfway, Like,
Right.
heaven
How do you
forbid
finish the
dies
project?
halfway. Yeah, instead of finding someone that sounds similar to it, I guess it would be great
You have
if they
all
could
those
give them the
backup
options.
tapes.
Yeah, you have the backup tapes, you have the
Oh,
information, you have
yeah.
all that stuff, and then you
Right.
could because and you're going to pay anyways for
Right.
this anyways what it is. Like, who's
Right.
to say? Like, I think that would be a really good situation,
I
a
think
good
so
backup
too.
situation,
Mhm.
to do it. Like, it's amazing what AI can do, and I think that, like, I just think that let's just give AI a chance. That's all
I
I'm saying.
I agree. I think yeah, people are making it out to be a scary monster. Like, like there's genocide and Nazis, and then there's AI. They are not the same. Like, let's take a step back and look at this logically here. Let's spock it up for a second.
Yeah,
It's not, they're not the same beasts.
yeah, folks. Thank you for listening to episode number 174 of the CFG Game Cast. I had to think about it real there for a minute. Thank you for being a part of the conversation, and we will be back again next Sunday with Smitty.
Except I won't be here.
Oh, you won't be here? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to vacay. I was going to remind you after this.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, there you go. So I guess it's just me and Smitty, and hopefully a third. Who knows? But if you do miss this episode, if you do miss the live episode, that is perfectly okay. We release it on all podcast services the next day on Monday every morning, so you can check it out on all podcast services like Apple, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and so on and so forth. But there's absolutely no reason to miss out on our sexy voices.
You heard the man.